was like 34 or 35 All-Star Pro Elite, and I was just nasty back there. I think especially like if receiving is at all a problem for you as a catcher and it's like a pain point, your hand's getting blown up, you feel like you can't stick pitches that well, get a bigger catcher's mitt. If I had to point to like what brought me value on the team, I think it was like my late inning come in the game, like throw runners out ability from behind the plate. And you really like take a lot of responsibility for your pitcher. And it's really the pitcher's fault at the end of the day. But like you still wear it, man. Like, especially if it's a dude like I hate and they just barrel one and like even sort of bat flip it, like dog, that fires me up. I got so mad.
All right, welcome in today to the Beyond the Glove podcast presented by Just Gloves. Within the world of baseball equipment, our guest today needs little introduction, but I'm going to give one anyways because today's topic is a little different than what you usually hear from him. Today we have Will Taylor joining the Beyond the Glove podcast. Many of you know him as the face, voice, and swing behind the YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter accounts of the Baseball Bat Bros. But guess what, everyone? He has done more than just swing a baseball bat in his life.
That's right.
And I do have to share this little anecdote before we start dissecting gloves. So we're recording this in mid-February, shortly after the Super Bowl. And before I was starting this, Will, I was doing a little bit of research on you. Specifically, I was trying to find the years that you played during college. So I typed in Will Taylor into Google search, and it auto-populated with will Taylor Swift be at the Super Bowl this year?
Yep. Problem, dude. It's been a problem my entire life, bro.
Really?
Because Taylor Swift, if you didn't, she's been around forever.
Uh-huh.
So I could never Google myself.
That's so funny. And when I typed that in, that was the first thing came up, and I was cracking up. So, but a little
no matter how big it gets, man, can never Google myself.
But a little background on Will, just so that those of you know that don't already. Will played baseball at the University of Utah during the 2012 and 2013 seasons. And while at Utah, he was a switch hitting catcher. But after 2013, you hung up the cleats and finished school and started a career away from the baseball scene. But you resurfaced in 2019 and 2020 with the Baseball Bat Bros channel. And today, I would be willing to say that you're the most trusted voice when it comes to baseball bats. But here at Just Gloves, we're more interested in what you've been doing with the glove. So I mentioned earlier that you were a catcher while you were at Utah, but is that always how things started for you with fielding?
So as is with a lot of catchers, I was actually a middle infielder growing up.
Nice.
So I had really good hands, and I was I thought I was a really good shortstop, but I just didn't have the speed and the quickness that a lot of the Pac-12 or D1 guys had up the middle. So I tried third base, but I wasn't quite like the hitting donkey that some of the guys we had. We had a freshman All-American at third base. So they put me behind the plate. I dabbled in catching a little bit. I would say it was probably my secondary position, just because I could throw really well from behind the plate, but I wasn't super thrilled about blocking and getting beat up. That sucked. I still, like, to this day, I hate blocking, bro. But like receiving and throwing, I really, had a lot of pride in that. I felt like I was really good. So I was a middle infielder growing up. And my first time full-time catching was my freshman year at Utah. And that was a very humbling experience trying to catch like 94 miles an hour in my first few bullpens after catching like 80s, maybe like low 80s in high school, cause I wasn't catching our best guys. I was catching, I was catching, summer games and whatnot.
There's a lot to unpack there because that isn't interesting to come from being a middle infielder to being a catcher in college because you're having to show up early and catch bullpens. That has to be just terrible because you have to get there like an hour before everybody else sometimes and just receive bullpens like nonstop.
Yeah, I think the biggest complaint I would have about catching bullpens is that it legitimately, especially as like a second, third string guy like myself when I was at Utah, it cuts into your hitting time. Like you don't get to work on a lot of the other stuff in practice that a lot of the other hitters get to, because I need to catch pens. Someone has to catch pens for the pitcher. So our first string catcher, they were a lot better than me. Parker Morin, shout out, made it all the way to AAA for our KC Royals.
There you go.
But yeah, so I was, I was helping the pitchers.
Mhm.
I served the pitching staff, more so than developing my own game as a hitter.
Uh-huh.
Fortunately, later on in my career, 10 years down the road, I've developed a new taste for hitting. But yeah, that was probably the biggest issue, was just not getting to get the same amount of hitting reps as my teammates.
Yeah. And then as well, so when you were growing up, were you always, I assume that you were always hit first and field second. That was, you were bringing your value was coming from the plate, I would guess, as you were growing up.
Dude, I was nasty. I was nasty with the leather, man. Like I was really good.
I love it.
I would say, like, in high school and stuff, probably, yeah. Little league, I was good with the glove, but I was a pretty good hitter. In college, honestly, I think I was defense first.
Really?
If I had to point to like what brought me value on the team, I think it was like my late inning, come in the game, like throw runners out ability from behind the plate.
Nice. I love so you were a late inning catcher replacement.
Bro, I swear, like the only time I got playing time was I came in with the closer.
Really?
For like save opportunities.
That's awesome.
Just so I could hose a throwdown between innings and keep them from trying to steal bases, because I had a piece. But that was, I couldn't hit as well as the other catchers. I was smaller than our catchers were both like 6'3". So yeah, nice. That was my game.
I love that. Will Taylor, relief catcher, to come in and just
closer catcher,
absolutely shut down the running game. That's incredible.
Yeah, man.
But so kind of moving back to when you were younger, though. So I've mentioned this here on this podcast before, but it's kind of peculiar that I work in this industry, because when I was growing up, I was not like a gear kid or anything like that. I just got what I got and used it. I didn't really think. I remember seeing other kids like bats or gloves and being like, that's pretty cool, but my parents aren't going to buy me that. So that was kind of always my mindset. But when you were growing up, were you a gear guy? Like, did you have the bat you had to have, or the glove that you had to have and stuff like that?
Yeah, I was a big gear guy, bro. As you can imagine, with the path I've paved myself here with Bat Bros, I loved it. My dad, honestly, shout out Bill. I feel like my dad was more of a gear guy than me. He kind of got me into it.
Okay.
I remember he got me my first DeMarini before DeMarini was even like a thing, really, in like 2004, because they were actually based in Oregon.
Yeah.
Now they're like part of Wilson and everything. But yeah, like people were like, what is that bat? And so I had A2000s from a young age.
Really?
I think I had an A1000 when I was like 10, but 11, 12, like from 11 years old, I had an A2000.
Okay, nice.
So I had nice stuff, I think.
Nice.
I like not huge in like it was just like this glove and bat. I was a gear guy, but I didn't have like nice cleats or batting gloves or nothing like that, or like not any nice clothes otherwise. Honestly,
hey man,
no drip.
A nice bat and a nice glove will take you far. So
yes, I did have a good bat and a good glove my whole way up. I'm very grateful for that.
Nice. Do you still have that, like one of those original A2000s that you were using as a kid?
Nah, bro, they disintegrated. The A2000s don't last. Actually, I have one of my brother's older ones, but he's like 8-9 years younger than me. The A2000s don't quite last as long as like the Rawlings. I do have one of my pro preferreds. I'm literally having it worked on right now, just to try to get it restored. I have a 11.5 pro preferred, kind of a pitcher's wet, but I loved it for middle infield. That thing is, that's going to be fossilized. Like those last forever, bro. So, but I had a lot of like, I think I gave away a lot of my gloves. So like, when I got to Utah, I'd give them to like younger kids when I got to my third year, especially when I hung up the cleats. I gave away a lot of my stuff, which I kind of regret, but I wish I would have kept some of it.
Nice. No, I'm interested. So you said you're having that, it was a pro preferred, you're having it redone right now. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So they're like restoring the leather however they can, and then new laces and everything. I think they're gonna like replace the palm
Uh-huh.
adhesive. Um, there's like it's kind of a emerging content space
Yeah.
is glove like baseball glove restoration. I've seen like 3 different accounts that do it, and
Mhm.
it's super satisfying stuff to watch. So I got one of mine sent in for that.
Nice. Who did you send it to?
So actually, there's a guy here in town in Oregon,
Okay.
Ian McDougal. If you've heard of McDougal Bats,
Okay. Yeah.
uh, he's he runs that and he does glove restorations as a hobby. So I haven't seen it yet. It might be horrible, so I'm giving him a little preemptive shout out.
No,
But
that's so cool. I have my glove right now. I have a mitt here actually, but like the binding that you have on it,
yeah,
I have an A2000. It's completely rotted out. And like
yeah,
when you see those guys that do that, it's so satisfying where they show the one, like the hand slot and how nasty and crusty it is. And then when they
exactly. I know. Yeah,
replace it with a new one, I really want to do that too with a couple
yeah.
of my
Like
gloves.
Glove Reviver is a really good one I watch.
Okay.
They're on like TikTok and Instagram, and they do a great job.
Gotcha. No, we'll definitely have to take a look at that. But okay. So you said you kind of mentioned it earlier. So you get to Utah, and you go ahead. You've transitioned to catcher at that point, and it's kind of tough, especially from cutting into your hitting time. But I always remember this. I caught quite a bit through high school, and whenever I was catching and someone like hit a bomb, like I wore that, I think the same or as more as the pitcher. Did
Yeah.
that ever wear on you as you were like kind of learning?
Oh, yeah. Well, did you call
I
pitches?
did, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why.
Uh-huh.
I called pitches too, bro, and it's like it feels like you're in a battle
Hmm.
against the hitter. Like the hitter thinks he's battling against the
Uh-huh.
pitcher, but it's really you against him.
Yes.
And you really like take a lot of responsibility for your pitcher.
Hmm.
And it's really the pitcher's
Yeah.
fault at the end of the day. But like you still wear it, man. Like,
Yeah.
oh, especially if it's a dude like I hate and they just barrel one and like even sort of bat flip it,
Hmm.
like dog, that fires me up. I got so mad. I have like freaking war flashbacks.
Hmm.
I'm thinking of 2 specific bombs
Hmm.
when I was catching right now in high school. But yeah, I feel you.
That's funny. I remember very specifically in high school, we had like a big at bat and I was catching. The coach comes out. He says, okay, like don't throw a strike. And so the coach leaves. I look at our pitcher. He's like, okay, like, and the pitcher's like, no, 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 let's do this instead. And I was like, please don't do this. Sure enough, he pitches it exactly where he wants, and the kid hits a bomb. And then the coach got mad at me, and I was like, I swear I didn't want to do that. But yeah, no, I still have like some baseball fear from that happening. So
Yeah. Did you play high school in the BESR era or the
oh, it
BBCOR
was
era?
BESR. So yeah.
Yeah, same. So as a catcher, like again, I didn't like I caught I will say in high school, I caught as my primary position
Hmm.
for like the last few games of my senior year.
Hmm.
So like it was a small part of my high school career, but it was, just it was the last few games, so they were very important games.
Hmm.
And it was BESR, and we were in a really good league and like the best league in Oregon at the time. Lots of bombs,
Hmm.
lots and lots of bombs. I remember like I couldn't win, dude. Like our pitchers were all right, but we had a team of a bunch of hitters, honestly.
Hmm.
And Carson Kelly, who was the starting catcher for the Diamondbacks for a long time, and now he's with the Detroit Tigers, one of the few big leaguers out of my area.
Hmm.
In a 3-game series, I was a senior, he was a junior. He had a home run on a curveball, on a changeup, and a fastball in the 3 consecutive games.
What do you
So
throw?
that was, yeah. So there's only so much you can do as a catcher,
Uh-huh.
but
No, that's fun.
it made me mad.
We're
I thought it was so stressful, dude. I liked playing shortstop a lot more.
Oh yeah, we're kindred spirits in our catcher ethos. It sounds like so, but
Yeah,
but yeah,
absolutely.
the one thing that I do have to say about catchers though is just as like you go along thinking about them is that like Hollywood has hurt catchers big time because
Yeah.
I always think of Angels in the Outfield and they like
Uh-huh.
portray the catcher as like kind of a big guy, not an athlete at all.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
Hamilton the Babe Porter.
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
They
the fat guy.
absolutely
Yeah,
they
I
think
mean, all love the fat guys, but like, dude, it's a grind back there.
Uh-huh. But the transition from the field to the plate is pretty impressive, I think. And as we all know, it definitely takes it takes athleticism to be behind the plate way more than I think your average baseball fan is going to recognize. So
Yeah.
I'm leading this into my next question. It's a little bit off topic, but when you were a kid, was baseball your best sport, or was there another sport that was ahead of baseball at that time?
Nah, baseball was
It
my best
was.
sport. Not even
All
close.
right, then
Yeah.
what was your second best sport? We got into everybody needs to know.
No, dude, it's embarrassing. It would have had to been basketball,
Okay.
but I was trash. Like I was garbage. So I was just baseball, and my parents wouldn't let me play football. But I don't think I would have been that good at football. I wasn't mean enough. So low key, like golf or tennis,
Okay.
I would have been nasty. But
I can see
never had
I
the
can see
chance.
you on the basketball court as like a small forward that just crashes the boards hard.
Dude,
And
I was a mean rebounder. I'll give you that. I could rebound with the best of them,
there,
but that was about it.
that's funny. But no, I had to ask that. That was more of a personal thing for me. But
All right,
but
good.
getting back on track. So when you're at Utah,
Yeah.
so you get there, you're a catcher. It sounds like you've caught a little bit more towards.
Yeah, like a mildly seasoned catcher.
Uh-huh.
Like
So did you?
nothing close to all these other D1 recruit catchers, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you're a Wilson guy. It sounds like you're getting the A2000s when you get
So this was actually Rawlings.
Rawlings. Okay. So you're
Yeah.
Rawlings, and then when you get to Utah, do you just stick with the Rawlings mitt, or did you change to something else while you're at Utah?
So I used a Rawlings my senior year. I used the Heart of the Hide.
Okay,
I remember it was a Heart of the Hide 32 and a half
got one right
my
here.
senior year of high school.
Mhm.
Is that what that
I
is?
got It's a 30. This is a 33, but yeah, we got Rawlings
Yeah,
hard
so
to
that's
hide
the
right
move.
here.
Yeah.
So
So, and then at Utah, my first year, I remember I got the Yadier Molina model,
okay,
but I think it was still just a 33.
okay,
And as a new catcher, dude, I just got blown up
okay.
with like even like a 33. Like in the world of college and professional baseball,
Hmm.
that's a small catcher's glove.
Yeah.
Like most big leaguers, I'm pretty sure are at least using a 33.5, but a lot of them are using a 34.
Hmm.
There's like I think All Star makes a 34.5. I think they even make a 35 potentially with the Pro Elite.
Correct.
But
Yeah, they have
uh,
a 35.
yeah, then my second year I moved to a 34 Heart of the Hide Matt Wieters model,
Okay.
which was and you know Heart of the Hide with Rawlings has bounced around a lot in terms of like stiffness, weight, and quality of leather.
Hmm.
They've kind of tinkered with that a lot over the last 10, 15 years. But that Matt Wieters model was like a stiff, heavy, pro preferred type of leather for a Heart of the Hide. And it was big. We called it the pumpkin glove because
Okay.
it was like pumpkin orange. It was ridiculous. It was like a first base glove. Thing was an absolute freaking check out the 1949 Shoeless Joe, by
There
the
we
way. I
go.
love playing catch with this.
I know. I love that
But
you're using that while you're chatting. You
yeah,
got
it's my prop. It's my talking
There
prop.
you
Yeah.
go. Get in the zone.
Yeah, I've got a catcher's glove here. So yeah, this is a 33.
Okay.
This Nakona, and I feel like it's a little too small.
Okay.
So I used that 34, and it made life so much easier for me. And eventually, I started using it was like 34 or 35 All Star Pro Elite,
Hmm.
and I was just nasty back then. I think especially like if receiving is at all a problem for you as a catcher, and it's like a pain point, your hands getting blown up, you feel like you can't stick pitches that well.
Hmm.
Get a bigger catcher's mitt.
Okay.
It's the most underrated thing, and people don't talk about it enough. Get a big catcher's mitt. Like you catch more than the first baseman. Why does the first baseman get a big basket glove? Like you don't need a little shortstop glove. You're throwing, you're trying to transfer
Hmm.
couple times a game. You're catching every single pitch.
Hmm.
So I'm a big advocate of erring on the side of a larger size for a catcher's mitt.
And when you wore your catcher's mitt, I feel like we always talk about this with middle infielders and just infielders in general. Did you go your pinky and ring finger in the pinky slot, or how did you wear it when you were back there?
So there's obviously a lot of controversy around this.
Hmm.
I think for one, each glove has different kind of requirements for what works.
Hmm.
Like for example, this glove, like there's not even like the pinky or ring finger slot isn't even big enough to go two in one of them. This forces you to go straight up. So there's certain gloves that don't even allow for it. But also, like, if I used a 32.5 or a 33, like, you bet, like, I'm sliding 2 down into the ring finger or 2 down into the pinky slot just to get my finger out of the way, so I'm not getting blown up as much, because your finger is so close to the pocket on a 32.5 and a 33. But when I finally used like a glove size or a mitt size that I felt like was better for me, so a 34 or even higher, I could comfortably go straight up.
Okay.
And I had more command of the glove. I had more control over the glove, and I could catch balls in the pocket without getting blown up. So that was a big game changer for me. Was, for one, instead of squeezing the glove like this, I started squeezing it more like this.
Okay.
So this would be called like a box break-in.
Yeah.
This would be called more of like a flat break-in or like a one hinge break-in.
Yeah.
So that way you're catching the ball right here. And that's completely missing your finger. Because, like, dude, my whole freshman year, I feel like my index finger on my left hand was double the size of the one on my, like, I had like perma inflammation. Just because I just got blown up.
Yeah.
So I went, and this matters more for older catchers who are catching like high velo. Because if you're catching 75, like, you're not really going to get your hand blown up. Like, you're probably all right.
Yeah.
But the faster the pitching, the more I had to go big glove, and the more I had to go from this to this.
Nice.
And that's why you see most big leaguers are catching like this.
Yeah. These are great.
At least
for those watching on YouTube, he's showing exactly how he did it. So that's super, super cool to be able to see. Nice. No, that's awesome. And then this came up as well. The first time I saw this was when I was in college playing baseball. But the catcher at our school, he made a cast for himself for his thumb. Did you rock a cast? Well, I feel like in college you almost have to. It's you're gonna get.
So I did at first, 100%. I wore one of those Evo Shield casts, and there was even like just there was a different concept where, same idea. It wasn't the Evo Shield one, but again, that's what I did when I used too small of a glove.
Okay.
Just because accuracy of catching it correctly in the pocket was an issue for me. If you're catching it in the pocket with regularity, you don't need a cast on your thumb. So once I went to the 34 plus size, and especially when I moved to an all-star, which is just butter, I'm big all-star for catchers mitts, by the way.
Okay.
I think it's like you have everything and then you have all-star. For cat, I think it legit is a performance enhancer.
It's pretty cool. I mean, they do catchers. That's what they do. So it's hard.
And like, I'm not sponsored by All Star, bro. I tried to be and I got rejected. So that's very, very genuine. So sorry, what was the original question?
I was just asking. So you were talking about the cast. It sounded like when you were using the smaller mitt. Go ahead.
Yeah. So. Yeah, again, with the smaller mitt, I feel like I needed the cast because I was missing the pocket and getting blown up down here. And bro, that is the worst. Getting your thumb peeled back on like a sinker or a changeup, that sucked. But yeah, when I moved to the All-Star, when I moved to the bigger mitt, that just wasn't a problem for me anymore. So I went to a straight up grip. And also, I feel like going to a straight up grip prevented some of the thumb peel backs. A lot of the thumb peel backs were when I had 2 in the ring or 2 in the pinky. So I think if you have a big enough glove, you maybe don't need to do those kinds of things. But our number one catcher, he was such a good receiver. He did use a 32.5.
Okay.
And he did use a thumb cast, but he was so advanced that like he liked having a lighter, smaller mitt. But I needed the more room for error with the bigger mitt.
Yeah.
So but that dude was like elite. That was probably the best receiving catcher in the entire Pac-12 at that time.
Nice.
Again, Parker Morin, shout out, my hero.
That's cool. So I caught in high school. So my thinking I did not think that much about, to me, when it comes to size, I've always just thought it's like, it's whatever you prefer. Like with the circumference, it's like, do you like a big glove? But I like how you mentioned that, like, if you get the bigger glove, you can wear it traditional. And it won't hurt as much. So that's cool to hear that there, you can always get more in depth on these topics than
Yeah,
think.
and a lot of like what led me more into like really trying to problem solve and think about that was just it hurt, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like had a necessity where my hand was just getting lit up
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't catching the ball well. So and like up to a certain level, you can get away with same with bats. You can get away with a bat or a glove or a mitt that isn't completely ideal for you.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times like the issues with that won't get exposed until you're really at a higher level, and then you'll really start seeing it become a problem. Like for example, the Voodoo One, DeMarini Voodoo One. We'll talk about baseball bats really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing bat, right? But the higher up you get, you'll realize that bat really lights your hands up if you start missing barrel. But unless you start seeing more than 80, 85 miles an hour, you're probably never going to experience that.
Mm-hmm.
Same idea with like a smaller catcher's mitt.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's awesome to hear. And if people are wanting this type of like super in-depth thinking when it comes to gloves and their use, there is a great source out there for getting glove knowledge. Who do you go to if you're needing some extra besides yourself? Who do you
Oh,
go
for
to?
like content
Yeah,
creators
for
in the glove
content and
world.
stuff like that.
Oh yeah, Ball Glove King, dude. He's really good.
Okay.
Yeah, Chris Banger, Ball Glove King. He's kind of like Bat Bros for gloves.
Mm-hmm.
Huge fan of his stuff. He has rankings on his website, and I literally looked at those recently, and I was nerding out about it. He does an amazing job.
Yeah.
He literally has like best catcher's mitt for a flat style break in,
Mm-hmm.
best catcher's mitt for a box style break in,
Yeah.
best outfield glove, best third base glove. So yeah, he's a great dude too, and he's one of the few dudes that does reviews, and he's like honest.
Mm-hmm.
Like he really tries to ignore what manufacturers are going to think of him after a review. So huge fan and supporter of Chris and the Ball Glove King content.
Yeah, absolutely. So winding it down here. So every time that we do one of these interviews on Beyond the Glove, we do 3 strikes at the end. So it's just 3 questions that I'll put out to you. We tell people 20 seconds like the pitch clock in baseball, but don't even worry about that. So
I'll get it.
No, please don't. I prefaced earlier that during your time while at the University of Utah, I did some research on that time, and I stumbled upon a little preseason questionnaire that you did before your freshman year that the athletic department had you fill out. And a few of the answers piqued my interest a little bit, but they were kind of short. So with what you said, so I wanted to see if we could expound on those at all. So for the first strike, here we go. So it said that you said that your favorite baseball memory on that questionnaire, you said your favorite baseball memory was winning state for the Murray Hill Little League when you were 12 years old. So what is the most vivid memory that you have from that state championship that you won for Little League at 12 years old?
We were nasty, bro. We actually, so the most vivid memory from that was actually after we won the championship.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, we rolled through state. State was nothing.
Okay.
I really think we 10-run to every single team in the state tournament.
Okay.
Yeah. We had an absolute juggernaut Little League. Murray Hill ran Oregon for like 10 straight years.
That's awesome.
Now, Little League's kind of fallen off, so that's broken apart. But I moved to the Murray Hill district just to play for that Little League.
Okay.
So it was not fair. It was stupid. But
so
we rolled through state, and then we went to regionals in San Bernardino. And for some reason, so there was the Western Regional, which was in San Bernardino, and then there was the Northwest Regional, which is what Oregon was in, at the same location.
Okay.
And they have to figure out what to do with Alaska and Hawaii. So they put them both in the Northwest Regional.
Okay.
So just because the West Regional is so loaded already, you have Nevada, Arizona, Northern California, and Southern California. So it's like to put Hawaii in that already is, now that's what they do, which is super annoying. But back in the day, they had it in the Northwest, and dude, Hawaii, bro, they were so good. Like they won the World Series that year. Spoiler.
Oh, okay.
And we played them in our first game. Sorry, bro, this is way over.
No, I love it. Please continue.
We played Hawaii in our first game of regionals, thinking like I told you, we 10-run to every team in our state tournament in Little League, and we're like, we are those dudes. We are about to win this. Like Hawaii, what do they even play baseball? And we get on the field against them. We lose 17-1. They're hitting bombs 100 feet over the fence. I remember dudes on that team: Alakai Adlape, Shane Boniaga, Vaughn Fayao.
Okay.
people from Hawaii and Eva Beach like know those guys. They're like famous from that time.
Okay.
My brother-in-law is from kind of close to there.
Okay.
He knows about a lot of those guys.
Oh
I
man.
always name drop them. And then we meet him again in the semifinal game, and we're like, oh, we're gonna get steamrolled. And keep in mind, if we win this game, we get a TV game because it's the regional championship. We get on ESPN if we win this game. We lose 5-4 on a BS out call at third base.
Oh man.
So it's like one of those games where we almost beat them, but like they were probably going to beat us anyway. So
no, you got to hang your hat on that. How did you do in that that semifinal?
I struck out to lose the game and send us home.
Bummer.
But it was like a 10-pitch at bat.
Really?
Yeah.
And they throw
Alakai Aglepe, 75-mile-an-hour fastball from 45 feet. That's pretty quick.
Yes, no kidding. That's awesome. That's a really cool story, actually.
Sorry, that was about 20 minutes.
Yeah. No, you're good. So strike number 2. So on that University of Utah questionnaire, when asked if you had a nickname, you said that your nickname was Big O. Which stands for Big Oregon. And you also mentioned that I am called that much more often than my real name. So how does one earn the nickname Big O?
First, like I'll say professors called me Big O.
Okay.
It was like it was my name back then. And like my homies from Utah, when I go back there, that's the only time I still hear it these days. But so I was on a summer feeder team called the Utah Marshals leading into my freshman year, the summer before it.
Okay.
It was like, basically exclusively 18-year-old team. Bryce Harper played on it. So it was a bunch of like UNLV, San Diego State, BYU, Utah. There was like a Cal State Fullerton guy.
Mm-hmm.
The team was stacked. And it's very rare that Utah gets recruits from Oregon because, Oregon and Oregon State recruit so well out of there.
Mm-hmm.
But low-key, I just wasn't good enough to play at Oregon or Oregon State, so I went to Utah. But so yeah, first guy from Oregon, these guys are like ever meeting. Mm-hmm. So what do we call this guy? So they just start calling me Oregon.
Okay.
And eventually that becomes, it's like Oregon's boring. Let's flare it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I had a little too much McDonald's that summer. They started calling me Big Oregon. And then that just got shortened to Big O.
Okay.
And there were like 3 other guys on that team that came to Utah with me.
Okay.
We were like the 4 Utah recruits on that team. Yeah. So like, first day on campus, they're all calling me Big O. They tell the whole team to call me Big O. Mm-hmm. They really liked the nickname. They thought it was funny. So everyone, our academic advisor called me Big O. Our coaches called me Big O. Like our head coach, all of our coaches called me Big O. I had, like that summer leading up to it, I had guys asking me halfway through, like, what's your actual first name and like stuff like that. Like Will, like what the heck? So, Big O stuck hard.
That's funny. Did your wife?
My wife never called me that.
Dang it. That was my question. I was going to ask if your wife.
I saw it coming. She never bit on the Big O nick. I don't think she's ever said it once. Which is that would be weird.
So. That's funny. I was wondering if maybe that was going to be like a self-proclaimed nickname or something like that. Like you showed up at Utah and you're like, just call me Big O, fellas.
I'm Big O. No.
That's funny. All right. And for strike number 3, so you started your college career, it said, as an athletic training major, and you mentioned that you did want to coach college baseball one day. Is the title of Coach Will Taylor still in the cards for you?
I'm pretty sure I lied about that. I don't think I was ever an athletic training director. I don't know. I like scratched my way through a communications degree. So that kid is a liar. But is Coach Will Taylor in the cards? Low key, dude. I told Tyler this on the Just Bats podcast. I don't like coaching very much. Really? I'm just not really cut from that cloth. Mm-hmm. I love educating. And like I think I would teach before I coached, if that makes sense. Yeah. I don't like the whole discipline side of things and like player management / babysitting side of things. I'm not that gifted in that. I'd rather, hop behind the camera and give advice and educate without dealing with the discipline side of things.
That's awesome.
I think I'm more likely to umpire than coach.
There you go.
To be completely honest with you. I love the idea of umpiring. I'm actually considering
it. There you go. Are you going to go to umpire school?
Yeah, I will. There's like, I've emailed the guy recently and everything. So
that's awesome.
I don't know like how much like training I would need or like what they would think. Cause I mean, I feel like I could honestly, maybe umpires are going to hate this. I feel like I could go out there right now on a high school varsity game
Mm-hmm.
and like sorta, I could run a game.
Mm-hmm.
I could hang as like the one umpire on the field behind the plate. I think I could do
There
it.
you go. It's all about
Maybe not like high level, maybe like lower
yeah.
level varsity, but still, especially JV, like I could run it.
It's all about looking like you know what you're doing while you're out there.
Yeah, and just a loud, confident, it's a good strike call. Yeah.
There you go. Hopefully no umpires are listening to us. And
No, feel free to chirp if they are.
That's hilarious. But no, hey man, thank you very much for coming on with us today, Will. Everybody, they know all the your opinion on bats and things like that, but it's always fun to see your interest in gloves as well. So we really
Absolutely, bro.
appreciate it,
If
man.
anybody needs rankings, just go over to Ball Glove King's website. I pretty much agree with all of them. He's used a lot more than me, so it's probably even more locked down there. So
There you go. I'm sure that Chris, the Ball Glove King, will appreciate that. Well, thank you everybody for coming on with us today. If you guys enjoyed the episode, please give us a 5-star rating on Spotify or Apple. Give us a thumbs up if you're listening and watching here on YouTube as well. And if you guys want to help us out in any way, definitely just go ahead and share the podcast with your friends if you guys have enjoyed it today. We appreciate you listening to this episode of Beyond the Glove. Can't wait for next time. See ya.